A lot to discuss here today. And Hugh, last couple of days we were talking a little bit about what to do.
Talking
right?
recklessly.
Well, we're talking, I think,
reckless,
speculatory, reckless, whatever. Yeah,
wasn't that reckless?
Yeah, that was.
It was a little reckless.
It was real.
Well, I mean, it was on the hearts and minds of everybody in this great Midwestern city.
Well, that's not true. We're not in the Midwest, but I do think when we have a game like Monday, right, and the quarterback plays the way he did, day one reaction, we're like, oh my goodness, this is bad, right? That's why I felt on Tuesday, and then yesterday it's like, well, if this continues, this has to happen. Well, all right, so now we've had a few days to kind of relax a little bit, and now let's take a 10,000-foot view of this thing, right? Jalen Hurts is not playing his best football.
No, he's not.
It's clear as day. We've watched him play for a lot of years, and we know what his best looks like, and we know it's not been that. And it's not just the one game, right? It's not. If it was one game, that's a one-off. Every player has that. It's been a month. It's been 5 weeks of some of his worst football over a long stretch we've ever seen. So, Hugh, this happens in sports, especially with established players, right? They will, and I think the word I'm about to use is used more for baseball than it is for football, but I think it could apply in any aspect in life. Hugh, that S word, slump, right?
Slump. You need a slump buster.
Well, maybe that's the Raiders. The Raiders certainly could be a slump buster, Hugh, on Sunday. Well, I always think when an established player starts to play poorly for an extended period, and I think if we're being honest, Jalen Hurts, that's accurate right now. Established player playing poorly for an extended period. Hugh, the question becomes, and I think we did this a little bit with Bryce Harper last year, and we've done it with other players over the years. Hugh Douglas, is this a slump that Jalen Hurts is in, or is he regressing? Because that is also the other side of the coin when it's an established player going through an extended period, they're not playing well. Hugh, 5 weeks, Jalen Hurts' numbers are towards the bottom of the NFL. Are we in a slump, or are we watching a quarterback regress in front of our eyes?
I want to say he's in a slump. There's a lot to unpack when it comes to Jalen and his performance over the last couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. I think part of it is, Joe, if I'm being honest, it's evolution. And what I mean by that is I always talk about how, as a football player, especially a professional, you have to be different every season. And I think that it's caught up with Jalen to a certain extent. We've heard rumors and things and frustrations with people talking about how this offense hasn't evolved and it's vanilla. I think a part of that, I think there's some truth when it's said that Jalen likes the offense a certain way. Mm-hmm. And the truism in the NFL is this. The more that you don't evolve, teams get a book on you. And, we were talking about this morning, and I've heard offensive linemen say that they see similar looks every week from certain teams because they work well against them, like certain concepts. Like you might have a team that is primarily a 3-4 team. They might roll up in a 4-3.
Well, like the Cowboys with the 5-man line a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Yes, things of that nature. So that tells me, as an old football player, that this copycat league. I used to always hear that all the time. That's what they mean. Like teams, if there's something you're struggling with, you're going to see it every week. And fortunate enough for the Eagles, they've been able to overcome that over the last couple years and everything like that. But it's finally caught up to them. Now, I will say this. The one positive that I take from the game is that they moved the ball better. The outcome wasn't the same. Well, the outcome wasn't what we wanted it to be. But when you step away from the obvious glaring 5 turnovers.
And it was glaring.
It was glaring. Whew. And I get that. And hopefully today, with it being Thursday, people are a little bit more calm. They moved the ball better. They moved the ball better. They put the ball in harm's way. Now, if you clean up the turnovers, and if you look at that game realistically, you had a chance to win. Turnovers hurt you, and they normally do. But you got to ask yourself this. How many times have you seen a game that's had 5 turnovers and you still have a chance to win the game?
Pretty rare. I mean, you would think that many you're down 10 or 14 at the end.
And that's the reality. Yeah. And that's why, on a Monday, it's hard for people to see that because it's Monday. Well, on a Tuesday, I should say, because you lost.
Right.
But the reality is this. If you have 5 turnovers, you're supposed to be dead in the water. That defense stood on his head, and they played well.
Excellent.
They played well, and they kept you in the game. Mm-hmm. If we can get this offense going, the ceiling right now is 21 points. That's it. Ugh. Joe, see, and part of the reason
21.
These are the hard conversations we have to have as Eagles fans. Give me 21 points, we got a chance.
Yeah, well, they will. And look, the good news is the schedule the next few weeks, it gives opportunity to beat up on some bad teams and quarterbacks, including Kenny Pickett, who looks like he's in line to start against us on Sunday. All right, here's where I come down on this. Hugh, you said something and you kind of talked through it, and you said you want to say it is a slump. I want to say that too. But my eyes are telling me there's decline going on here. And what I see it is this, right? So statistically, he's obviously declined. His numbers across the board are pretty bad. I mean, let's just be real about it. His success rate is down. His QBR is down. His completion's down. Statistically, this is closest to 2021. Right? We always forget that year when we talk about Jalen Hurts' career. That was his first year as a starter. Statistically, this looks closer to that than it does 22, even 23, or obviously last year. So statistically, it's down. Okay, is that a slump? I don't know. It's 14 games or 13 games. But my eyes, Hugh, and my concern is I don't think he's the same athlete as he was a few years ago. And he doesn't run like he used to. And I think about Jalen Hurts, right? When he first came in the league, the player he is, the scouting report on him. And I remember watching him at Oklahoma and Alabama, and I thought he was an interesting prospect, Hugh, when the Eagles drafted him because he was a dual threat, right? Mm-hmm. Is he really a dual threat anymore? He's averaging 3.8 yards a carry. When he was at his best, it was 5.5. Like, that's what Michael Vick used to run for. That's Lamar. 5.5, that's, Cam Newton. Right? Some of the best running quarterbacks of all time. Jalen was one of them for a brief period. Mm-hmm. That's a big difference, right? 5.5, 6. He could break. He had 100 yards rushing in a quarter in a game in 2022. 100 yards in a quarter. And I'm watching the game Monday, and I'm watching Justin Herbert, and he's the better athlete on the field at that position. So I'm watching a guy.
Yes.
I just think he's a better athlete right now. He just runs feet.
I mean, I can't deny that. Yeah.
So I'm looking around the NFL. I don't know how high Jalen ranks even among mobile quarterbacks right now in terms of his ability to run. So that aspect of his game is not here. I don't know if he's banged up. I don't know if it's the coaches telling him. I don't know if he doesn't want to do it because he doesn't want to get hurt. I don't know what's going on. But he's not running like he used to. And then if he's not a dual threat, okay, we have a quarterback that has a nice deep ball, can spin it once in a while, but it's not a consistent thing. So I see regression here. And maybe it's as simple as what you said, Hugh, where teams have caught up. And it's like if you don't improve and teams catch up to what you're doing. Like Jason Avant, when he's with us every Wednesday, he's brought up the idea that teams are running the Todd Bowles defense against Jalen Hurts now, right? Todd Bowles has given Jalen trouble a lot in his NFL career, and now everyone's kind of copying that defense. Mm-hmm. So I'm concerned we are seeing physical regression, not running anymore, and that is leading to overall play regression. 215-592-9494. Where do you come down? Is this a slump? And boy, we all hope it's just a slump because that means you get out of slumps, right? You get a slump buster. Maybe that's the Raiders on Sunday. But if it's decline or regression, that's a different thing. And then that is something the Eagles have to figure out how they work around with him or work around with, something else down the line. 215-592-9494. Where do you come down on this? Let's hear from Jalen Hurts yesterday. He was asked actually specifically about having a slump. Not a phrase we usually use for quarterbacks. That's more for like baseball players. But is this a slump? Here is Jalen yesterday.
In other sports, we're used to athletes getting into slumps, and we talk about hitters adjusting their hands or their stride, or basketball players adjusting their feet. Do quarterbacks get into slumps, like where you just, the mechanics aren't there?
I'm gonna say for whatever reason, I think that's a part of the game. Success or greatness, those things aren't linear. You have your ups, you have your downs, but it's about how you respond to it. And I think about that. I mean, it's nothing new that I haven't faced before. It's a matter of responding to it, and I got a lot of confidence how we respond. I got a lot of confidence how it go.
So, all right, so he said, I don't know if he gave an honest answer there or just trying to talk himself into it, but he basically said, I have to respond, Hugh. I mean, that's what I heard. He acknowledged the point, but I don't know if he knows the answer to what's going on right now.
Yeah, he's right. He has to respond because that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the response. There's no question that there's a lot of questions about Jalen. Like my feed has been blowing up about different stories that I'm reading about Jalen, and everybody has an opinion. Mm-hmm. Some of them are vitriol. They got a little vitriol with them because they don't like Jalen. And some are trying to give, analysis, like some really good analysis. And the bottom line is this. This is the worst that we've seen him look.
Yes.
There's no question about it. Now, he's had his moments where he did look good, but the one caveat is he figured out ways to win. He didn't look good this week. He didn't look good.
He did not.
So now, how do you rally? You rally the troops. There were some good things, and I'll keep saying this. There were some good things that were done Monday night, but the bad outweighed all of that. You have to try to build off of that. I don't think you can put the genie back in the box because it's obvious that you struggle with certain things that you do. I would not be surprised if, we have a couple more games, he throws a couple more picks, especially if you're going to take more chances with the football, because that's what we're talking about. I think Jalen has been so risk-averse that now he's in a situation where in order for you to get out of this, you have to become more risk-averse. You gotta take more chances with the football.
But that is scary because what just happened Monday.
Yes,
right?
it is. Yeah. But you got to get back on the horse, man.
I know.
You have to get back on the horse, and you got to figure it out. Because a lot of it, when you look at some of the throws that he had, when you go back and you look at them, they were off time just a little bit. Mm-hmm. If you could shore that timing up just a little bit better, then you made some pretty good plays out there.
Yeah, well, he could have, and if he did, and they had some open guys, it could have been a totally different outcome. 215-592-9494. All right, before we get to everyone's take on this, I just want to throw one more thing in the discussion, because I can imagine there are some people out there listening to us who are saying, decline, he's 27 years old, right? Like, how could he be in decline? He's not 35, he's not 40. I don't think there's a general rule when it comes to quarterbacks the way maybe we think there is. Like, sometimes guys play until their 40s. Mm-hmm. I mean, literally, Phillip Rivers has come back at 44. Obviously, Brady and Rodgers and all those guys play very deep in their careers. But some guys, and especially mobile running quarterbacks, sometimes it goes way quicker. I hope it's not going with Jalen Hurts, but look, Cam Newton was done at 27 years old as a good quarterback. He just was done. And Jalen Hurts, if you go look between college and the pros, do you know how many times he's run the football, Hugh? Rushes.
Quite a bit.
Over 1,300 rushes from college to the pros. When running backs get to that many carries, their legs go. And we all say, oh, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, perhaps Jalen Hurts is just not the same athlete he was just even a year ago. That happens sometimes, and maybe it's affected everything.